After years as love and hip-hop, Atlanta's dominant couple, Kirk Frost and Rasheeda, are finally calling it quits, out of nowhere. And believe me when I say that this isn't a haphazard choice. A significant event occurred behind the scenes. Insiders are speculating about a significant betrayal. Fans are in complete astonishment, and the producers, they're rushing to limit the harm. The worst part is that this may not be solely about hip-hop and love. No. This might be the end of Kirk and Rasheeda's relationship. According to people close to the pair, they had fierce arguments, received a scandalous ultimatum, and were forced to leave after a shocking disclosure. What actually occurred then? Why would Rasheeda and Kirk abandon everything they had created on reality TV? And most all, is this the last chapter of their romance? You may never see Kirk and Rasheeda the same way again after reading this narrative, so be prepared for more twists than you could ever anticipate. It began with whispers, faint at first, hardly audible. Fans noticed small details, such as Kirk's aloof demeanor, Rasheeda's icy looks, and the fact that the pair hadn't been spotted together in public for weeks. The love and hip-hop community sensed something was wrong. However, a startling leak surfaced online out of nowhere, claiming that Kirk and Rasheeda had left the show. Not merely stepping back for a season or taking a break, but doing for good. As fans were struggling to comprehend the implications of the news, a shocking disclosure was made that rocked the reality TV industry. Things had blown up behind closed doors. Despite the turmoil, betrayals, and scandals that made them love and hip-hop royalty, Kirk and Rasheeda had always presented a unified face. However, a significant event had occurred that destroyed their faith in the program, in one another, and in all they had worked so hard to create. At a private event organized by VH1 executives, it all came down to one tragic night. The drama that developed was more bizarre than anything ever seen on television, even though the cameras weren't rolling. Tension was already high. Kirk had been drinking, and then the altercation that altered everything occurred. Do you truly believe that I'm unaware of what you've been up to behind my back? Rasheeda's eyes were blazing into Kirk, and her voice sounded icy. Kirk let out a frightened, phony laugh that made it clear to everyone in the room that he was caught right away. "What are you discussing?" he mumbled, attempting to hide it. Rasheeda, however, wasn't present for the games. She was aware, and she was going to reveal him to the world. As she took out her phone, tapped the screen a couple of times, and then flipped it around, the whole room went quiet. A video rolled. The room reverberated with gasps. Some even covered their mouths in disbelief. Kirk's face turned white. Rasheeda's voice was dangerously low when she said, I told you that it was finished if you ever embarrassed me in this way again." What did the video contain? Nobody was certain. However, the responses made it abundantly evident that it was terrible. According to some, it was video showing Kirk being overly intimate with an unidentified woman who was associated with the program. Others assert that it was a business transaction gone awry, including contracts, money, and treachery. Whatever it was, Rasheeda was sufficiently pushed over the edge. Rasheeda drew away as Kirk stumbled and reached for her arm, her face contorted in anger. She screamed, her voice trembling with rage, "Don't touch me. I ought to have broken up with you years ago." In an attempt to defuse the situation, producers rushed in, but it was too late. The damage was already done. Kirk was left standing there, ashamed, exposed, and all by himself as Rasheeda rushed out. Everything changed on that night. Rasheeda declined to do any filming after that incident. She blocked Kirk's number, ignored producer calls, and even began speaking with attorneys. Word quickly spread that Rasheeda was done. However, this is the part that nobody anticipated. Kirk retaliated. Not only with words either. He began calling and scheduling meetings with high-ranking officials, even threatening to reveal show secrets if they didn't support him. He didn't want to lose his job, his salary, or his reputation as a major player in reality TV. However, the roles were reversed this time. Due to the network, they were also finished with him. A report from behind the scenes that stated Kirk had been causing problems for Montias was revealed a few days later. The higher-ups were fed up with the drama stemming from when he attempted to save himself. "You're out," a production close source disclosed. The choice was taken by the network. Without them, Love and Hip Hop is progressing. Suddenly, reality TV's power couple, Kirk and Rasheeda, were no longer there. However, the drama? Oh, it had only just begun. Rasheeda wasn't going to take this lightly. She was actually already preparing her next move, which would totally surprise Kirk. Rumors that Rasheeda was negotiating with another network surfaced a few days after the controversy. For her own show, not simply a guest appearance. And it wouldn't be about Kirk this time. According to people familiar with the matter, Rasheeda had had enough of her husband taking center stage. She desired something new, autonomous, and entirely her own. And you know what? Already the offers were coming in. According to a high-ranking official who wished to remain unnamed, Rasheeda is a star in her own right. Everyone is aware that she can carry a show without Kirk. A few major networks are interested in collaborating with her. However, Kirk, he was not going down quietly. He went crazy as soon as he learnt of Rasheeda's covert meetings. Kirk allegedly told a close friend, "She can't just walk away like that. I worked with her to build this. She has no intention of abandoning me." However, Rasheeda had lost interest. She had portrayed herself for years as Kirk's forgiving wife, the ride-or-die woman who always had his back. However, things were different this time. She had finished repairing things. He's finished clearing up his mess. Most significantly, she's finished allowing Kirk to dictate her professional path. She had one last move, and Kirk was completely unprepared for it. Kirk was in complete terror. It was one thing to lose hip-hop and love, but losing Rasheeda, he was unprepared for that horror. He had always assumed that she would never truly leave him, no matter what. However, things were different this time. Rasheeda had entirely cut him off. She wasn't returning home, she wasn't returning his calls, and she was already taking significant action without him. Rumors were rife in the industry. Executives were really considering giving Rasheeda her own reality program, and Kirk? The plan did not include him. According to a close source, Rasheeda has been meeting with producers in private, and they are very interested in the idea of a show that revolves around her life as a music mogul, mother, and businesswoman, without the baggage of Kirk. And Kirk was unable to cope. He entered damage control mode as soon as he saw that Rasheeda was actually going on. He began promoting his own story and attempting to slant it in his favor. In a private chat later posted online, Kirk raged, "These executives are manipulating her. They want to portray me as the villain and turn her against me. I've supported her from the beginning, and now she acts as though I don't exist." However, no one was buying it. The fans, no. Not the insiders of the industry. Not even Kirk's closest friends and family. He believed that things couldn't get much worse, yet they did. Rasheeda went public with the truth, since she had just done something that nobody had anticipated. She shared an enigmatic Instagram story late one evening with the straightforward words, "You can only disrespect me so many times before I walk away for good," written in white writing on a black backdrop. That was all it needed to cause a total collapse on the internet. Support from fans poured into the comments. "Queen, we have your back. You're worthy of better. It's time for you to break up with that dude." The story was taken up by prominent gossip pages in a matter of minutes. Screenshots became widely shared. Kirk, too? He was fuming. He tried to repair the damage right away, broadcasting live on Instagram a few hours later to set the record straight. He shook his head and remarked, "I don't understand why people always want to jump to conclusions. Rasheeda and I have experienced everything together. Do you honestly believe that she will simply get up and go like that? Come on now." However, the comments section was ablaze as he was speaking. "Kirk, you played yourself. We all anticipated this. It's better for her without you." Rasheeda herself then joined the live stream. Kirk appeared momentarily shaken at seeing her name appear. He said, "All right, Rasheeda is in here. Let's speak, baby. Keep the blogs out of your mind." But she remained silent. She didn't type back a reply. She did not attend the live event. She gave him no acknowledgement. Rather, she shared another statement on Instagram a few minutes later, saying, "Some things don't need to be explained. The truth always comes to light." And she ended him just like that. Kirk realized he had lost control of the situation at that point. He was not receiving any communication from the network officials. No one was returning his calls. The makers who formerly catered to him. Quiet. Then came the greatest surprise of all. Kirk and Rasheeda's names were formally taken off of Love and Hip Hop's promotional materials for the upcoming season. At that point, it was entirely real. They weren't simply leaving the program. They weren't only resting. They were removed from the franchise entirely. Kirk lost his temper at that point, because he was done playing nice if the show was over with him. He then took a last-ditch action that would escalate the whole matter into a full-scale conflict. He began threatening to reveal the producers' identities. According to insider leaks, Kirk had been reaching out to bloggers, saying he had real dirt on the show, which could damage careers, ruin reputations, and end the series. What's the most absurd aspect? He wasn't playing a bluff. According to one source, Kirk is aware of the locations of all the graves. He has witnessed behind-the-scenes events that would leave people speechless. Rasheeda made her most audacious move to yet, one that would totally surprise Kirk, just when everyone believed the drama couldn't get any bigger. Her own reality show was revealed. The real kicker is this: the first episode, her escape from Kirk Frost, was meant to be the main focus. Kirk, too? He was unaware that it was taking place. He didn't believe it at first. He believed it to be a mere rumor. He believed Rasheeda would not follow through. But Kirk knew this wasn't just a rumor from a gossip blog when the official announcement and teaser trailer were released. It was authentic, and his ruin was going to be captured on tape for the entire world to witness. Rasheeda didn't mince words. She was shown in the teaser sitting in an exclusive restaurant, staring straight at the camera and speaking passionately. She claimed, "I dedicated my entire life to someone who didn't deserve me. But now, it's my turn." The screen then shifted to snippets of Kirk's previous scandals, affairs, and betrayals, everything Rasheeda had had to deal with over the years. Then, Rasheeda was seen going away after removing her wedding band in the last picture. The internet took off. Supporters were raving that this was the reality program they had been waiting for. Kirk, too? He was going downhill. Because if he believed that losing hip-hop and love was bad, things were going to get much worse. Kirk was going crazy. He was aware of it. Both on Love and Hip Hop and in his marriage, he had been in charge for years. He had persevered through one scandal after another, changing the story and always managing to win. This time, though, he was slipping quickly. The supporters weren't the only ones who reacted negatively. He was being turned against by the industry. Rasheeda had done too well with her cards. Kirk appeared to be the resentful, disgraced monster attempting to bring her down, while she had presented herself as the strong, independent lady escaping. What's the worst? It was functioning. The press had come together in support of her. She was being commended on blogs for regaining control of her life. Female admirers were praising her and referring to her as an inspiration. Celebrities had begun to express their adoration for her. We like it when a queen triumphs. She is at last taking charge of her own destiny. This is the narrative of Rasheeda's redemption. Kirk's name was being pulled through the muck in the meantime. Kirk lost control because he was angry. After years of playing games, karma is finally getting to him. Perhaps she wouldn't have left if he had treated her well. He grew increasingly enraged as he saw the internet turn against him. He had been put in a no-win scenario by Rasheeda. He would appear weak if he remained silent. He would appear more worse if he clapped back. Kirk Frost, however, had never been one to accept failure. He retaliated by fighting back. The CO main VAC plan one late evening, Kirk was browsing social media in his office. He had a dilemma with his brand. He had spent years building his reputation as the Frost Empire's boss, a power player, and a businessman. It was all going apart now. Kirk had one weapon remaining, though: his personal invoices. Rasheeda would present the world with an alternative version of events if she wished to portray herself as the strong, independent lady gaining her freedom, a side that did not involve her as the victim, a less innocent aspect of herself. Kirk then began to divulge details. He called a few bloggers in the field, the same people that enjoyed a good scandal and had always covered his and Rasheeda's relationship. They weren't biting at first. One blogger informed him, "Dude, Rasheeda is so popular right now on the streets. Nobody is trying to listen to you criticize her." However, Kirk then revealed the shocking information. "Do you believe she simply left love and hip-hop by herself? She was ejected by force." That caught their interest. He gave them inside information. Rumors whispered, distorted facts. VH1 had finished with her. She was becoming too costly and making too many demands. Younger faces were what they desired. She persisted. She was forced out. She played all of you. The plan first appeared to be effective. Headlines began to appear. Was Rasheeda ejected from hip-hop and love? Behind-the-scenes drama. Rasheeda's true reason for leaving. And for a brief moment, Kirk thought he had control again. However, Rasheeda retaliated. Rasheeda's last move was to go live on Instagram the next morning. She was at ease, assured, not bothered, sipping tea while wearing a flawless makeup look in her home office. After that, she began to speak. She shook her head and remarked, "I see Kirk out here trying to twist the story. He's attempting to give the impression that I was kicked out of love and hip-hop, as though I hadn't been the one to leave." She grinned. "I want to be quite clear. I left, according to my own terms. Would you like to know why?" She inclined towards the camera. She dropped the receipts after that. Screenshots, emails, evidence proving she refused a multi-million-dollar renewal offer because she was tired of being manipulated. The internet took off. She exposed him. "Wow, Kirk is finished. How are you going to act shady after she has the actual receipts?" Rasheeda continued after that. She mentioned all the shady things Kirk had done over the years, how he was unfaithful, lied, attempted to control her, how he had stayed relevant by using her name, her brand, and her accomplishment. Then she revealed the last surprise. She had more in mind than simply leaving love and hip-hop. She was starting a reality show of her own, an individual endeavor. Kirk, no, not a drama. Only her, her empire, her brand. Networks were vying for it as well. Kirk realized something horrifying for the first time in years. He was no longer required. He was outgrown by Rasheeda. The world was aware of it now. Has Kirk Frost been canceled? The consequences were immediate. Business leaders began to distance themselves from Kirk. His calls went unanswered by brands. He was fired by the network that had previously supported him and covered for his mess. The fan reactions followed. She prevailed despite this man's attempts to destroy her. He genuinely believed he could portray Rasheeda, lol. Kirk Frost, the antagonist in his own demise. Rasheeda had prevailed. Kirk, too. He was on the verge of losing everything. The seriousness of the issue eventually dawned on Kirk as he sat in his office, looking at his phone. He had underestimated Rasheeda, believing that her success was somehow connected to his presence and that she would break under the strain. However, it became brutally clear that she had always been the more resilient and stronger of the two. His mind was filled with memories of their formative years together, before the spotlight, the cameras, and the never-ending drama. They used to really work together as a team, constructing their empire one brick at a time. The dynamic changed over time, but Kirk had always been the one to take charge and make choices for the two of them. Now that Rasheeda had matured into her own, she was displacing him. It hurt deeply to be betrayed. He convinced himself that he had helped her pursue her career. However, Kirk questioned whether he had ever really been in charge after witnessing her thrive without him. In a subtle sense, Rasheeda had always been calculated. She knew how to negotiate the perilous waters of the entertainment business and took advantage of every chance. Although Kirk had garnered the most media attention, Rasheeda was the one who established her reputation and brand. She was now enjoying the benefits. Kirk had lost himself in the instant thrill of scandal and stardom, but she had played the long game. Kirk came across another teaser for Rasheeda's forthcoming show, Unbreakable, while browsing Instagram. Love and support for her were abundant in the comments, which also praised her fortitude and tenacity. There were pictures of her standing tall with their kids by her side, beaming and joyful. Now that she had openly separated from Kirk, the fans loved her even more. Kirk's own social media profile, meanwhile, was in ruins. His comments section was full of hate, and he was losing hundreds of followers. Every time he shared something on social media, it was mocked. He was essentially blacklisted by the industry. The toxic Kirk Frost brand was no longer something anyone wanted to handle. Even the media organizations that had previously supported his version of events were now abandoning him. He had lost his reputation as a figure who made headlines. Rather, he had turned to become the joke's butt, a warning about what happens when pride, treachery, and scandal take precedence over all other considerations. Kirk's manager, who had supported him through innumerable difficulties, was on the other end of the buzzing phone. However, the discussion was different this time. With hesitation, his manager began, "Look, Kirk, the network has made the decision to back out of any upcoming agreements. It doesn't appear promising." Kirk's jaw tightened, but he remained silent. They're changing their emphasis. Rasheeda's upcoming show is sure to be a huge success. Now that she has the support of all the sponsors, there is really nothing left for us. He was aware of what that implied. Everything had vanished, including the TV appearances, deals, and sponsorships. His manager went on, "Kirk, you have to understand. The industry is a fast-paced one. The story is changing, and Rasheeda is now the main focus. The loyalties of the fans are evident from their voice." Kirk had no plan for the first time in his career. He had always been able to manipulate the situation to his advantage and think his way out of a jam. Now, however, Rasheeda had the advantage regardless of what he did. He was left to handle the consequences when she had managed to separate herself from the poison. What about the fans? They were having a great time. They simply despised Kirk instead of loving him as a villain. And that was the kiss of death in the reality TV industry. He raised his head from his phone and gazed at the wall in blankness. His opulent manner of life, his notoriety, and his authority were all evaporating. He hadn't anticipated it because he had been so preoccupied with himself. While he was burning bridges, one scandal at a time, Rasheeda had quietly established her enterprise. Rasheeda's show Unbreakable kept gaining popularity as the days passed. Billboards, advertising, and internet advertisements were all over it. The public was thrilled to see her in a different light, and to see her flourish without the drama Kirk had so frequently introduced into their lives. Millions of people watched Unbreakable's first episode, which was a huge success. Rasheeda quickly became the buzz of the town after captivating audiences with her moving and inspirational tale. Support erupted on social media, and the evaluations were overwhelmingly favorable. Her genuineness and tenacity were lauded by critics, who referred to her as an inspiration for women worldwide. Kirk, meanwhile, was in a downward spiral. Rasheeda had been the exclusive focus of the media, and for the first time, he was not mentioned. Every interview and story focused on her accomplishments, her resilience, and how she had overcome the mayhem he had caused. The business had already decided that Kirk represented the past and Rasheeda represented the future. Kirk, however, was not yet prepared to quit up. He made the decision to face Rasheeda one final time. He had to understand how she had pulled everything together, how she had swung the whole business against him. There had to be something going on behind the scenes, some covert agreement she had made to destroy him, and it couldn't be just public opinion. He wanted to surprise her by showing up at her new production office without warning. Rasheeda was at her desk going over the scripts for the upcoming Unbreakable episode when he entered. She was startled to see him when she looked up, but she soon gathered herself. "Kirk," she said in a composed yet strong tone. "Why are you in this place?" He didn't waste time making small talk. "I'd like to know how you accomplished that. How you turned everyone against me." Rasheeda crossed her arms and sat back in her chair, saying, "How you turned the entire industry against me." Kirk, I didn't turn anybody against you. That was all your own doing. Kirk sneered. You think I'll believe that? You just somehow emerge victorious after everything we've been through, while I'm destroyed? That is not a random occurrence. For a minute, Rasheeda's face softened. This isn't a conspiracy, Kirk. People witnessed the reality. They took their decision after realizing how poisonous things had gotten. That is not my responsibility. I'm just going about my life, taking care of myself and our family. He rejected it by shaking his head. You took advantage of me. Everyone was played by you. Rasheeda got to her feet and turned to confront him across the desk. Kirk, I didn't play anyone. At last, I began to live for myself. I will not be the lady who remains in a dysfunctional situation in order to preserve your reputation. I'm worthy of better. Better is what our children deserve. The hurt she had carried for years, the weight of his betrayals, and the toll it had taken on their family were all visible to Kirk for the first time in her eyes. He briefly came to the realization that this was about more than just himself. Then all of a sudden, everything is different. The former love and hip-hop power couple Kirk Frost and Rasheeda are finally done, not only with the show but also with one another. The internet is still processing the fallout, the industry is buzzing, and fans are in shock. But what comes next is still the real question. Is Kirk's career really over, or will he manage to turn things around? And will Rasheeda's new path succeed without him, demonstrating beyond a shadow of a doubt that she was always the true star? There is little doubt that this drama is far from done, and we will be here to analyze every development as it happens. How do you feel about the unexpected departure of Kirk and Rasheeda? Is Kirk responsible for his own demise, or do you think he was sabotaged? Most importantly, is Rasheeda officially done for good, or do you believe she will ever look back? We would love to hear your opinions, so please leave a comment below. Additionally, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and enable notifications if you don't want to miss the next shocking update. Because I promise you that this narrative will get much wilder in the next episode. Keep an eye out.